We're back. So we're going to just slow down now because I can have some time to talk about some of my notes. Thank you, everybody, for joining me again. Welcome back. My name is Celeste, also known as Joanna, and we are talking about moving this beautiful new gateway that we've just come through, and I'm so grateful for all my teams. I'm so grateful for Mother, Father, God. I'm so grateful for all of the Celestials that are always having my back and protecting me at all the time. I do know that there is extra protection on my fields and in my life right now, so I'm very grateful, and I just wanted to give a few seconds to shout out the Galactic Federations. I'm so very grateful for all of the work that they do with our planet. I'm so very grateful for how much they watch and they study and they help us with analysis on how to better improve our health and our wellness, as well as the health and the wellness of our water and our air. We're so very grateful. We're going to be really including a lot of our connection, building bridges with the Celestials, as was my job back in the 1950s. That didn't really go that well, but I guess it did. It all worked out because I now have the DNA from that timeline, and it's all assisting me be a better, a better collaborator in this experience. And this timeline, we actually have a lot more higher intelligent, really creative, beautiful collective that's going to be along for the ride. So that'll be joining us with their collaborations, interpretations, how they perceive and how they're moving about their integration of oneness. They're moving about their integration of Source Creator. So I'm going to be very grateful to have those collaborations as well, because again, the more diverse that we can be with each other, understanding how we all move and operate within these beautiful collective ascension energies, the omnipresent field, the Source Creator fields, the intelligent field, if you will all assist us in truly becoming a collective of, integrated telepathic thought, So as the creative collective needs something, if there's an asking, then there is an answering. And why it's so important, and we can't say this enough, why it's so important if you just focus on who you are as a divine being and what you're here to offer and what your excitements are and what your offering is of your Source Creator organic alignment. That's all you really need to do, is to keep focusing on you. Therefore, then you're always going to be creating positive karma. You're always going to be aligned with your best and your highest gifts and skills that get activated in a divine, timely experience. You're never going to get activated for what you don't need, what you don't is not in your soul's blueprint. And again, it's very simple if we just follow the plan. But again, it's always free will. Not all people are aligned with their higher selves. Not all people care to be aligned with their higher selves, and they go about it in different ways, haphazard ways, and that's fine too, because we all learn. But there is a simple process. I've been doing this for over 17 years. And there is a very simple process, and if you follow your higher self's alignment, you will always gain, again, the highest examples of how you're moving through your normal life. You get to understand who you are, because your higher self is an aspect of you deeply connected with Source Creator of all the dimensions. And you get to really have that alignment, which is your connection and your relationship. And there's nothing more important. I talk about it all the time, and why I get so verklempt and why I get so emotional is because of my connection with Source. And every time that I'm shown different things, and even though I'm going through such profound challenges, it's my connection with Source that allows me to continue doing what I do and to being who I am, and to be as authentic and genuine as I can. It's all connection. And so if you don't honor that, and you don't master really having that high integrity connection with yourself, and really working with that higher integrity connection with yourself, as we talked about life force, getting to know your life force, in the multidimensional way that we're meant to, not just as a sexual experience, but as a lot of the mental illnesses and a lot of the mental disturbances is because we haven't been connected in a multidimensional way, as well as a higher intelligent way, to the life force and how it means for our mental health. There's going to, again, I could go on and on about 100 different tangents just because I'm connected with the dodecahedron in that way. But one thing always leads to another, and once we become that greater door opening to how our multidimensionality, universal oneness to all that we are, affects all that we are. And so doing it the right way this time, right? We're going to be grounding every day. We're going to be doing our practices every day so that you get really tuned in, you get honed in on your bodies, on your fields, you get used to your chakras, you're sensing with your chakras, you're emoting with your chakras. We're going to learn so much about our collective, and I'd really love to be a part of research and development. We're going to talk probably our next show about, just the integrity and ethics about experiments and our research going here forth, because from the 1950s on, there's been a lot of things that have been done wrong, a lot of illegal things that have been done wrong with human experimenting and the military and the government's projects of human hunting and that, which was just a manifestation because there was no ethics or integrity. So we're going to be talking about that probably our next live show. We have to talk about the ethics and integrity because we're moving into 5D. But there's going to be a lot of research and development on what I talk about. I'm the only one on the planet that talks about, and how we're going to be developing research and technology, how we're going to be developing healing and technology, and how that's going to be moving us into really beautiful arenas. But we're going to do it in a slow and honoring and very tactile way, because we need to understand multidimensionality. We need to understand consciousness. We need to understand and have that organic threading, that organic alignment, that organic sustainment with Source Creator. We've never had that in our collective for 5,000 years. We've been embedded in church and state. We've been embedded in these, box store beliefs. That's not the higher vibrational experiences of Source Creator. So we do have to retrain ourselves and train ourselves in a higher dimensional way, and that is understanding who we are multidimensionally, who we are vibrationally, understanding the fields, electromagnetic fields that we live within, the chakras in and of themselves, and how each of that, again, is so vast and so profound. So I can't wait to be a part of these research studies. Our DNA allocation, right? Our DNA allocation is then separating and allowing us to be very diverse in how all of our multidimensionality is then affected. So that means us then, as I've talked about with psychology and psychiatry and counseling, how we're going to have different fields of teaching and healing modalities with the technologies, because we're each at different variances of our DNA allocation and what allocation we have depending on what species we come from in the majority of our DNA that has been activated. And so one thing that we didn't talk about in our first show, and I kind of got cut off, so I had to go back. So there's, I think, three episodes or 2 episodes in number 1 or 2. Anyways, this is the number 3 for today. And then tomorrow we're going to go back to our full 2 hours, so it won't be so choppy. And so what I wanted to talk about today was, I'm the only one that really talks about the DNA allocation. So we're going to be talking more and more about it and how it's going to affect our technology, education, healing. Everything has to do with our multidimensionality. This is why we got to keep threading back to the same entrainment. The more that we entrain ourselves in our beautiful, sacred, organic alignment with Source, how do you do it? What do we do? Who are we? What do we exist in? What exists within us is all Source. Our multidimensionality is all Source. Our Christ consciousness is all Source. Our Christ consciousness is our multidimensionality. Our crystalline energy, which is new information. If you want to write it down, those that have been on the path for a really long time, you're going to want to know this because this was new for me. So this is what my teams gave me this morning. And this will have everything to do with where humanity's going, but we want to slow down. We want to do it right. We want to take the long path. We want to play the long game, and we want to do it right. We want to anchor and ground these ideas in our higher intelligence, and we want to go slow. We really want to observe what we're doing and where we're going and where the energies are leading us, because it will all be about education and intelligence and healing. And there's lots for us to explore, because we need to be balanced. Again, we're going to keep threading it back to why. We're going to need to be balanced for our interdimensional travel. We cannot travel off planet until we are fully balanced in our divine feminine masculine energies. Because you will find out that once you're in your Merkaba, and we do have light ships that are directly linked to our consciousness, we won't need the fuel for our consciousness travel. In this, we absolutely have to be balanced in our divine feminine masculine energies. That's why healing is going to be so profound. We have to build the foundation first. We're going to do it right this time. We're not going to run at it greedily saying that we want to start creating all this technology and all these things that these 1 or 2 light workers that are tapped into Source energy, and I can see and I can predict all these wonderful things. But again, just as Source has shown everybody else with the dark occult practices, if you do the dark occult practices and use magic as a tool to get your things that you want to get, it's just going to pin you in all of the experiences that you've created for yourself, because you went into it with poor integrity and no ethics. And not really understanding anything about energy, not really understanding anything about higher spiritual order and higher spiritual laws, and the truth about higher spiritual wisdoms, and why those of us that will be lifted have been the ones that have been initiated with the heavens, initiated with the master's programs. And we do have our we do have our bars, if you will, and our badges, right? We've earned it the right way because we took the long road, we took the long path. We have to build the foundation. We're going to do it right this time. So those of us that are New Earth Star leaders, we're going to be relying on all of our clients that have been with us for so very long to assist us in developing these greater healing experiences where we're focusing on our multidimensionality, fully exploring it, fully expressing it, and fully experiencing the 3 E's, and then working within this 3 A's, the alchemy of all that we're becoming. And again, all of my content is my content. My images and my intellectual property is all mine. It cannot be used otherwise. It cannot be used on fake AI pages or fake YouTube pages, and then somebody else is getting paid for all my work. This is my work. It is exactly who I am. I haven't been paid anything by anybody. There's been no contract signed. I haven't signed anything with anyone. Even past in the past, 40 years or so, there's been nobody that has there's been illegal properties and illegal permissions that were supposedly given. I didn't have anything to do with because I didn't get paid a penny by anybody. My work is my work. It's my downloads. It's the work that I do. It's all my work. It's the work that I do every day with Source, and it's my turn to get paid. So I will be getting a return back on what I'm deserving of. This is my work. It's my life. So those of us that have worked for it and we have done the long game, we will be getting our rights and our dues for it. So I just thought I'd put that in as a caveat because some people come on if they know you're predictive and if you're a channeler and stuff, they come on to get all your information and then they go and create a fake AI page and they make as much money as they can on it. And again, you're going to get karma because again, what you do and how you do is going to end up where you are. So again, it's always about the highest level of integrity. And again, your organic alignment with Source. Your organic alignment with Source, your higher self would never tell you to go and do the things that the cults and covens and all that we've talked about. We're going to leave that in the past because they're no longer in my energy field. So we're going to do it right this time. We're going to learn more about the DNA allocation, which is everything to the health and the wellness of our multidimensional fields, who we are within us, and the vibration, the core vibration that we emit. Has everything to do with our DNA allocation. And because of my crystalline energy and because of my crystalline field, I emit a lot of angelic radiance in my aura. A lot of my energy is crystalline. I'm a part of the crystalline collective. I'm part of the angelic collective just because of all my ancient lineage and where I've come from and how much time I've put in various aspects of our realities throughout the multiverse. So it's really prominent in my field. I have a lot of angelic energy in my field. I have a lot of Christ consciousness in my field. That's because I have a lot of crystalline energy. Now, what's new is that we're just finding out, my teams are telling me, is not everyone comes here with a lot of crystalline energy. Not a lot of people have crystalline DNA. So this is really new to me. So we're going to have to move about and really create dynamic research, dynamic education and understanding on hybridization programs, what DNA and what species and what cultures and subcultures are linked. As we've seen, much of our past histories is mirrored from the galactic wars and how they've taken themselves out of crystalline energy by the entropy practices, by dark occult practices. That's why it's been so important for me to teach what I've taught. And of course, with my platforms being shut down, it hasn't done much good, so we're going to have to keep starting from scratch and keep putting my stuff out there because we cannot move forward in consciousness. We cannot not move forward in higher intelligence. We cannot move forward with the advancements that are needed in healing, in education, and the hybrid children that are going to need all of this guidance until we understand and learn fully and thoroughly who we are as multidimensional beings. And the DNA allocation that each and every one of us is so dynamic, nowhere else found in this galaxy to the DNA species and the diversity of our species that we have on this planet. And because I'm part of the systems of light, the galactic federations, they're always with me. They ride with me. They're my ride or dies. They're always in my fields. I've got extra protection. And so thank you, Holy Mother, Father, and thank you, Commander Ashtar. I'm sending you peace and gratitude for all the protection and love that you do. And also the galactic federations and all of your celestial teams through your higher self, they're always working with your health and your wellness. Every night, you're always on aboard light ships in recalibration chambers. You're always learning more about your multidimensional bodies. And then when you come into your waking time, you get to carry those energies with you. So it's really important that you get asking a lot more. Hello, sweetheart. We start asking a lot more about our multidimensionality and the diversity of our own unique species. Most of the clients that I've had with me forever, they do have a lot of Christ consciousness and they do have a lot of the celestial Christ consciousness and the crystalline energy. But what we've just talked about and what my teams have just downloaded, because of the diversity, because of the uniqueness of New Earth Star and the Divine Father's plan for future New Earth Star, this will be a very diverse planet of species. And because a lot of species in the galactic frequencies, they're wanting to reclaim and recombine themselves back into Christ consciousness because they've been using the entropy practices. They've transitioned themselves out of Christ consciousness. So Source Creator is slowly weaving them back in if they've done the work behind the scenes, right? We've talked about it because you got to still clear your karma. So if those species have done their work, they can be reintroduced into the planetary experience through new births and new experiences. And then they'll have small bits and pieces of the Christ consciousness and small bits and pieces of crystalline energy within their matter form carbon DNA. And we do know that the mRNA is part of where our ancient gifts and skills and gifts get activated through all of our ancestry. So the mRNA is what accesses our Akash, right? That's the Akash. And so the other aspects of it is how do we start weaving, which is my questions to Source this morning, which is so exciting, but again, it's so vast, it's so complicated. And because New Earth Star is moving in these dynamic ways, but why it's so important we have to keep wrapping ourselves back around organic, diverse, grounding resonance with Source. We have to keep coming back to organic enmeshment with Source, our organic alignment with Source, our organic relationship with Source. Because each and every one of us will be at a different stage of our DNA activations. I said that right? So we'll be at different stages of our DNA activation within the allocation. I do have a little thing here, right? I did this for the DNA allocation. So each of us is going to have like different, like say, because each and every one of us have to get 51% of our DNA, our soul's integration. And then as we transcend and we heal those soul fragments, we open up through light, through our practices, through our alchemy, through A's, we open up those codons through light. Light gets pressed on it through your higher self and your teams because you're now calling and you're now working with light and you're now processing greater light, right? Your body is taking on greater light because you're doing the work. You're entraining yourself to be a higher vibrational being. So because each and every one of us has a different allocation of what species we're at, our DNA is all about where the species we come from. Like whereabouts in the galaxy do we come from? It's not just from your Earth. My goodness, no. Your DNA is about all over the galaxy, all over the universe. Some of us are multiversal. Some of us has a lot of star seed energy that's multiversal. So this will be everything that would be so exciting. As I said earlier, I can't wait to be a part of the research and studies on how we are doing our healing technology multidimensionally, understanding the psychiatry, psychology, and counseling multidimensionally, and on top of that, even a more threaded, expansive, bedding and threading, the bandwidth of the species we all exist within is going to be different. And why, again, we have to then, we have to become that sensitivity and we have to become that nurturance. We have to become that connection of how everybody before us has such varied and vast species within them. It's going to be so dynamic and so amazing, very exciting, because we're going places that Earth has never been before in our understanding and our intellect. And we do have to come up with new healing modalities. There will be healing technology, and why we've said, those that have been at the top of the wheel in a certain industry or arena, perhaps they're going to take a step back and just be observers, really touch pointing the foundations of the collective and really getting involved in different things so that they can gain as much of the dodecahedron perspectives as possible, because they might be a part of really garnering different technologies that's really going to be needed here. So they might take a lot of detours, and that's really needed because you can't get a grasp of something you're really meant to offer in the bigger picture of things, right? You can't just go on one trajectory. You're going to have to let Source, again, your organic alignment with Source, so that you can move in these different arenas for the bigger projects that are going to be needed in these little arenas that have to be digested. Right, that's digested because it's all juicy, it's juicy chunks of Source, right? You want to have that whole dodecahedron as part of your salad. You just want, You don't want one type of leaf. You want lots of leaves. You want lots of berries and nuts and everything in your salad. You want a bit of goat cheese. You want a bit of, put everything in your salad. That's what the diversity of Earth is going to be. But we have to know, we have to do it right. The alignment with Source Creator is so important. The organic alignment with Source. The organic alignment with Gaia. And everything I teach you on this channel is about the organic enmeshment. It's about the alignment. There's nothing more important than connection. Connection is everything. It's everything. And why I get so emotional, because those of us that have done the work and we've done the long game and we've done the long treacherous game, we've gone back in the trenches over and over again to pull a lot of people out that God had a contract to pull them out and to help them come along for the ride. And then still, but a lot of them chose not to because they just can't. So again, this next little while will be a lot of people falling off the bandwagon because their vibrations just can't catch up. But again, we're going to be moving into all of these really rich, robust arenas. But remember, as we said a couple of years ago in my video, because there was a lot of people that were stealing content and ideas from me back then. But again, they're getting karma, so let Source take care of that. We're going into these new arenas. Just discern, who's just new on the bandwagon that's going to start offering this and willy-nilly because they've heard a few people come out with these new predictions about where we're going. We want to do it right. We don't want to have any more irreverence. We don't want to have, irrevocable damage with our celestials any further, right? I'm a bridge builder. I'm a representation of the Galactic Federations. I'm a representation of that badge and that bridge. And we don't want to do any more damage. I should not have survived what I went through. And all of that in the collective heart is everybody is sitting with that information and processing what happened to me. What happened to me was important because, in my Arcturan lifetime, when my DNA was all spliced up and everything to be used in this timeline, there was a lot of important lessons that the whole collective must hear, and I'll be writing about it in my book, and I'm sure there'll be lots of things that I'll create that will bring further learning about the exploration of our diversity as our species, but also how to heal our species in the appropriate way that each of our species is required. Because we're different species within our DNA, certain aspects of the species do not have access to crystalline light. I have a lot of access to crystalline light. That's why I can feel and know and move and sense and be the vibrational healer that I am. So that's going to be a whole field unto itself because it does affect, again, how we heal, the medicines that are offered to the species. Again, we've talked about this, that a lot of the big pharma synthetic drugs do not, they're not good at all for the higher crystalline bodies and for the indigo children. So we have to come out with some new healing modalities that are organic as possible, that are using, a lot of the red light therapy and a lot of those, the grounding mats and all the beautiful healing things that are coming out now. There's so much that can be done. And we do have to take our way. We want to take our time moving about and observing the reality and observing what's really needed in the collective, because if there's an asking, there will be an answering. But the higher intelligent minds that have been out there, they're now going to be allowing themselves to just pull back for a little bit and just keeping these ideas floating until Source is really going to ground you in that idea. And Spirit, please clear and cleanse the energies that are in this space. Please, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And please return any of those magics back to the people that are presenting them. Send it back right to the protectors and anybody that's sending it, please. Send all the energies back immediately. Ancestors, send the magic back immediately to the practitioners and the ones that are sending it. Karma now. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And so, again, whatever our species allocation is going to be exactly what we're going to be needing, those healing experiences. And then there's those of us that have been in the ascension path for quite a while. You're going to be really activating your lineage and your celestial gifts and skills and talents for herbs and tinctures and things like that are really going to come forward, and you can really create something quite quickly, because again, you've been doing the path for a long time. You're just about finding this little niche arena that you're really going to excel, and you're really happy of offering yourself in that way. And you've been floating around with these ideas for quite some time. So a lot of these gateways and the energies of speeding the collective up, if you will, it's going to be really opportunist for you. The ones that have been on the path for a while can really start a quick startup business, if you will, with really little overhead. All right, so you can do this. But we want to make sure that those that are just awakening, that are just on the bandwagon, again, as we've mentioned before in our videos, take a step back and really ground and work with your higher self, because your higher self will not guide you to jump into the collective before as necessary. Your higher self will allow the grace and the reverence for those of us that have been doing the work forever and not being paid for it, to really have ourselves put up in the front so that we can have, some return pay for our very important work that we're doing that nobody else carries. Nobody else carries the work and the information that I come forward with, that we can start building new human socioeconomic systems and socio-altruistic systems. We will be more socio-altruistic. And so everything that we design and everything that we come up with, its inventiveness, will have to be based in this way. Because again, we want to do it right. We don't want a repeat of the 1950s Arcturian US government. We want to make sure that from here on out, there is utter respect and reverence. We do not want to have any more X's on us in this movement forward. I am a representation of the Galactic Federations. I shouldn't have survived, but I came forward as a priestess. I came forward as a master. I was a blue being. I was Arcturian. And I had much great wisdom and information. And it was kind of thrown aside, and I was used and abused. And it's very similar to the mirroring of this life. I was put with families that didn't understand. I was put with people that didn't understand. I was used and abused by everybody. Everybody that I knew was my family or friend. They all took money, and they all took part in the lying and the stealing while I was homeless. Sleeping on the street, that's not okay. It's so unsafe. And again, these people that are going through they've been going through a month of karma, and their only concern right now is like, how do they get out of what they've done to themselves? These practitioners that are, disappearing because they continue to do spell work and take money for doing death magic on me. So we have to have a lot of change within our collective. The corruption is not going to be anymore. You cannot just have an underground assassin business, that you're taking out light workers. You have no idea who these people are. Now, I'm very pivotal in the multiverse ascension. I'm very pivotal. I'm not going to just sit down and slow down. I'm not going to stop radiating my beautiful crystalline light. Nobody has crystalline light like I do. Again, people that are just not aware don't know. They're not clicked in. And so if you take me out, there goes the water, there goes the abundance, there goes divine feminine balance on the planet. There's been so many deaths for divine feminine and the children. This planet would have gone into quick entropy. So these people that are in these cults and covens and these warped masons and these warped warlocks and witches, they're so disconnected from themselves that there was zero care at all on what they were doing to the innocent people that they're attacking every day. Again, the only reason why I'm here is because Source Creator forced me and because of my 1 or 2 clients that offer me donations so I can eat on a semi-regular basis. I would have not eaten this year if it had not been for my clients sending me money. I would not have eaten. This is how they cut off, and they cut off and suffocated every avenue that I was able to receive. The shadow government was absolutely a part of it. They were giving instruction to the cults and covens and the witches and the warlocks because of, again, we're going to have to do another study and research on this, which I've talked about very briefly. The people in the sex cults and covens, because of how they manifested, because of how they were twisting and warping and enforcing the consciousness through their sexual acts, their experiences were actually enforcing and advancing psychosis and degradation and mental depreciation. Therefore, thus then, even some of them are even now are in enraged experiences, enraged emotional dysfunction and dissonance because of their satanic consciousness sex manipulation work, which we said they would. I predicted it. Go back to my videos. You cannot have a sexual act of using your life force in that way. I mean, they did, obviously, because they went against everything I said, because they didn't believe that anything I said had value. They didn't believe in me as value because they were misogynists and they were very wounded. But anyways, everything I've said is true. All my predictions are 100. They were practicing what they were doing, again, very low vibrational, spiritual misguidance, spiritual misinformation. And again, the government was involved. The government is absolutely 100% liable. They will be liable to give me every per diem for every day that my YouTube has been down. YouTube is also liable. Every day per diem that I was not able to offer my light wisdom's intelligence to the collective, and how many people have died because of it. How many people have been taken out because of it? How many people have been assassinated because of their practicing on their death magic and their sacrificing? There's a lot of research and investigation that has to be done on the outpouring of these cults and covens and the crimes and the corruption that is behind it. There's still a lot of work to be done in research and investigation on how much damage these cults and covens have done with church and state, low box store beliefs, church and state zero unity consciousness, not understanding our source organic harmony, our source organic integration. We're not going to make the same mistakes again. And why it's pivotal for everyone to understand. Church and religion, church and state, the box belief stores and where you sit, and how much you're willing to bring that with you, and how much you're willing to hell-bent or nothing stay within that belief system, or go to the bigger umbrella of Source Creator, and how to start harmonizing and healing your body as a multidimensional being of higher consciousness that is going to, at some point down the road, activate crystalline energy. These people that have operated in these cults and covens, they've damaged and destroyed and taken themselves out of their lineage's potential to ever come back into a crystalline Christ consciousness timeline again, which is why Source gave them so many chances. Because their lineages were working so hard to have them come back into Christ consciousness. Because once you're out, you're out. You cannot go past a certain level of intelligence. 3D, it's very low. They cannot move into higher intelligence without Christ consciousness. But there's nobody on our planet that understands these concepts, unless you're an awakened person, you've been doing this, right? So this is why our light, intelligent wisdoms needs to be an everyday teaching, needs to be an everyday understanding. It will touch everything. Our technology, our music, our entertainment, everything will be aligned in who we are, what we exist within. It's all Source. So why aren't we talking about Source every second of the day? Our health and our beauty, having eternal life. How are we manifesting that? How are we moving into our harmonization with Source? How are we healing these huge social issues? If we had been dealing with all of these things, nothing on our planet would be an issue as we see it right now. The Middle East would not be an issue if we're practicing light wisdoms. Because you don't go out and sacrifice somebody and kill somebody when you understand higher wisdom. When you understand it, you get it, and you're just not going to do it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And then what, right? So you're just working yourself in a huge karma mess, and you're not coming out. You cannot go into Christ consciousness in the activities and the behaviors that you're doing. Global organized hate groups absolutely be put on notice. When you practice such experiences, you're going into entropy, and you cannot and you will not earn your way back into another lineage, which means you will not incarnate again into higher consciousness, which means that you will be staying in that lower universe that only has 3D intelligence. It's very, very important to the universe. And why I won't be touched. Our collective needs to understand this. It is the highest importance that we get this. Unity consciousness is everything. And why I said before, our organic harmonization with Source is everything. It's everything to understand who we are as multidimensional beings in the fields and the electromagnetic fields that we sit within, and how do we harmonize it? How do we heal it? How do we sustain it? Our core vibration is everything. Your core vibration will dictate and show you and share to you what earth you're going to be on, and what energies and things you're going to be doing on that earth, how you're going to explore, how you're going to express, how you're going to experience yourself as Source. If we don't understand ourselves as source, we don't understand source as anything. How are we going to develop and how are we going to create these socioeconomic systems, socio-altruistic systems? It's all source. We're not a low vibrational cult and coven that says, no, anybody that threatens us, we're just going to go out and take them out and we're going to assassinate them. We're going to do bids and bets on them in the underground, and we're going to sell them, and we're going to marry them back and forth to 18 different cult masters, and you're going to be handled in 18 billion different ways. We're not doing that anymore. We cannot do that. It's not going to work in 5D. That's why everybody's getting karma. All of these lower vibrational groups that behave in these ways, you're going to get karma the second you go about these experiences. It's not unity consciousness. It goes against it. It's entropy. So you're going against the natural order and the natural flow of our planet's natural vibration. Anything you do that is out that, you're going to be shifted out. You have to be. You're going to go on that Epstein Earth where that's entropy. And then again, you have to, in your higher source time, if you took a session with one of the channelers, your teams will tell you that you're probably not going to come back in another body because you're not a part of the species that did earn their Christ consciousness. You have to get that. Christ consciousness is just not offered. You have to earn it. You have to earn your Christ consciousness. It has nothing to do with religion. It has to do with how you play. It has to do with your DNA. It has to do with how much light are you integrating. Are you integrating light? Do you understand who you are as a multidimensional being? Do you understand your Merkaba? Are you activating light? Are you playing with light? Are you integrating light? Are you talking light? Are you behaving, thinking, thought, word, and deed light? Are you behaving? That's my 4th book is called The Alliance with Light. How are you practicing? How are you in training being light? How are you in training being a higher vibrational being? You can't just think your way there. You have to be the vibration of light. Now let's get back to my notes because I only have like till 12:30, I think. So we want to get this in. Now, what my teams told me this morning is that where we're going, we're just going to talk about the energies of our planet that are going forward in ascension. Okay, so I want to make it specific. I want to stay specific in that energy. Those that are going forward into the 5D gates, we're going to have so much opportunity for everybody to be included, for everybody to be a star in whatever way they want to be a star. It's not going to be 3D star. It's not going to be selling yourself to the devil to get you on stage for 5 minutes and then you harvest off of a star seed for the next 20 years. Everything from the past is going to be dead and gone. We're not practicing any of the corruption, any of the misguided misinformation, wrong information that got everybody into trouble and a whole bunch of karma. That's done and gone. Not doing it no more. It's cut off. So now that everybody knows, we don't want to keep going over the same ball and chain because that's what it is. It's bindage. It's bondage. There's no more handling. There's no more sacrificing. There's no more any of these things. And if you are, you absolutely know that you'll be taken out bit by bit by bit because it's going against the natural order of our new planet. It's only natural order laws, right use of free will, non-interference, understanding your natural organic alignment with source. We want to activate our light bodies, want to activate our Merkaba. And why? Because our technology, our health, our inventiveness, our light wisdom education is all going to be aligned with source. If you're aligned with your higher self, that's all you need. You'll be your highest intelligence. You'll be your highest level of healing. You'll be your highest level of intelligence of your health. Because remember, as we said earlier, everybody on our planet has a different allocation of what they've activated in their DNA. Everybody has a different perspective and percentage of species. Now, and why? Again, there's going to be so much research and development. I can't wait. Give you 2 examples really quick. You take one person on our planet that has Pleiadian Andromedan as much of their juice, right? Much of their juice, Andromedan and Pleiadian, right? But most of it is Andromedan. That majority of Andromedan is not necessarily crystalline. The crystalline comes from the Pleiadian. And why? Source creator knows what source is doing. Source knows all of your blueprint. Source knows how much you've been where, how long you've been where, where your timelines have been, what your timelines have been doing, where are you, what planet are you on, what percentage of your crystalline energy. This is why source knows what source is doing. Everything that we talk about on my channel is your soul's blueprint, your connection to the heavens, your connection to your collective, your connection to Gaia. In that, you're going to have themes, stories, lessons. You're going to have integrations. You're going to have to heal through your divine feminine masculine energies. All of my stuff is my stuff, my collective information, my intellectual property. All of my teachings are mine. Nobody can take it for making money. or making images of my work in any way. I've signed nothing for anybody, and nobody can make money off my things and my stuff and my information. This is my wisdom. It's for me. So any donations would be greatly appreciative. I am looking to connect and collaborate with certain beings of the highest, purest, benevolent intentions. Thank you. I will never sell my intellectual property, by the way. Thank you. So now we're going to carry on. Now this Andromeda being has a lot of Andromeda DNA. They have very little crystalline, right? Their crystalline energy is that meshment that gets that can allow them to see right? That crystalline energy can allow them to feel their fields, to go out, to know what's going on in their fields, and even know what's going on in their body. The crystalline energy allows them to read the things that are multidimensional crystalline source creator and everything. I can, in my crystalline energy, I can just pinpoint where I want to read, and source creator will take me there because I have a lot of crystalline energy and I've worked with it. I work with my crystalline energy. Crystalline energy also allows you to store a lot more information within your multidimensional bodies. Your crystalline energy will also be adaptive to consciousness light ships that will be operating with them, because our consciousness will be aligned. Our light ships will be aligned within our consciousness. That's how we're going to direct our light ships. We're not going to use fuel. We're not going to use the big things that we've been using in 3D energy. We're going to be aligned in crystalline consciousness. That's how we're going to manifest the technology, is through our consciousness. So you have to understand multidimensionality. You have to understand your organic harmonization with source. Source essence, the omnipresent, the omnipotent, and your crystalline energy, how much you've activated. This is where your Christ consciousness comes in. Where are you moving beyond ethics and integrity? We have to really establish this as we're grounding 5D Earth. So our next show probably will be talking about, have a whole show about integrity, ethics, and morals, and these new laws where we can really embody and seed into our garden. What are the best ways to move forward now that we're moving into a really higher consciousness of intelligence? We want to do it right this time. We don't want to ever jeopardize. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, Holy Spirit. We don't want to ever jeopardize our relationship with the Celestials. We don't want to ever jeopardize, again, having another cycle where the only reason I survive is because of God's intervention. This should have never happened. And the lengths that people went through to kill me and take me out, this should have never happened. Source is saying it was beyond deplorable, the things that were done to me. And Source, again, can't show me some of the things because my heart is just too sensitive and my heart is too pure. To know that the family and the friends that so-called were family and friends, up to 200 people involved of the community and officials and government that were supposed to be to serve you, that have access to all your files and all your information medically and personally. All of the rights were abused. It should have never happened. So how did all of these checks and balances for so long within the government, and how many people abused the laws, and how many people abused their own ethics and integrity? There's a lot of people that will be coming out, and as Source said, there's no mercy that will be given to some of them. And they won't be allowed back into Christ consciousness ever. Their lineages have lost the right to ever come back into Christ consciousness through these transactions that were done against my life. It was really important lessons that we've learned, but again, because we've talked about it, but again, it's just people's perspective, right? They have very low vibrational reverence or respect for Divine Feminine because she's been taken right out of the collective energy. There are a few great minds right now that are talking more about the Divine Feminine in the collective, so I'm very appreciative of their points of view and perspectives. And I've been sharing some of their videos, so please watch them as I bring them up on our platform. It's very important that we start reestablishing the Divine Feminine energy and bringing them back on board to the importance that we hold in the vibrations and the intelligence that we bring through, because they are true stories. If we had learned our lesson, and the cults and covens and the secret societies and the shadow governments had not continued to do what they did to me, they would be living a normal life and continuing on with ascension and continuing on with Christ consciousness and continuing on for their lineage, the crystalline energy, which is taking them right out of the evolutionary loop now. They cannot continue. They cannot go through that evolutionary loop. They can't. Their cog in the wheel is now stopped. Their lineage is absolutely not going through. So again, what was happening in the mirrored galactic wars of whatever their species was, whether it was a draconian or reptilian species, their species are not going to be allowed back in. They've lost access to evolve which means that what? Just as what happened to the Greys, their entire species will be taken out. They cannot, your species will not continue if you are not evolving in light. And why the Greys had made special arrangements with the galactic federations and many of the planets to assist by using human DNA through the again, the hybridized programs. So I'm here to come and teach that and offer it. We have to learn from our errors, divine tribe. So again, what you judge and what you separate and the damages that were done to me was because I carried a high crystalline energy. And because the families of so-called Illuminati, I refuse to be a part of the trafficking. I refuse to be a part of the standard socio experiences that these people had done in their Masonic, warped, Eastern Star, whatever they call themselves. Again, the names don't matter. Abuse is abuse. You cannot enforce somebody to be trafficked. You cannot enforce somebody to be used as a harvesting agent so everybody else in their family gets away by harvesting all of your energy. And I sit sleeping on the streets. And again, the higher lesson, again, it's mirrored, from the 1950s. Eisenhower, did we not learn our lesson? Me sitting in that lab of Area 51, having my DNA dissected and ripped out of me, it was so painful. The higher vibrational species of me, saw what was happening. The higher vibrational species of me rose above, and I was watching the operation table. And then I healed it in this timeline. It took me 3 days to heal from that trauma. It was a big betrayal. The US government had pretended that they were going to come forward and build a bridge with the galactic federations. And I was the person sent forward, just as I am now, as a conduit, as a being, as a species, as an interpreter, to assist humanity to higher intelligence, to unity consciousness, to peace. Either your planet will go into entropy or it will continue into higher evolution. How do you go into higher evolution? Not by book smarts, in old 3D understandings or church or state. They're not advanced, they're not intelligent. Through light, intelligent wisdoms, through Christ consciousness and light, period. And how do you get there? Your enmeshment, organic harmonization with source, period. How do you do that? Connection with the heavens, connection with Gaia, connection with your collective. And the simple practices that we teach, same message from day one. But I was attacked by these people that did not want my voice out there because they knew of the truth that I carried. My truth is the collective truth. I resonate. I send out collective vibrations. My resonance changes the planet. My resonance changes the collective hearts. And we will do this the right way. We're doing it right this time. We are going to build bridges with our celestial galactic federations. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, galactic federations, for protecting our planet and always surrounding us with love and light. We thank you so much for protecting us and guiding us and helping us on the light ships at night heal our bodies and come into higher intelligence of who we are, what we exist within, and what's truly going on within us. And we will do it the right way. We will move about this in a slow and honoring, respectful, absolutely excited to be and to know and to feel the dodecahedron, to feel, to know, and to be within our essence of who we are as sensing beings, as feeling beings, as knowing beings, as clairconscience, clairsentience, clairaudible. In all that we are as multidimensional beings, we want to be this for our ancestors and for our lineage. We never want to take ourselves out of the evolutionary game, which some species have done in these very horrible acts of human targeting, of human experimenting, and why we have to talk about ethics and morals. We're going to do it right this time. We don't ever want to take ourselves out of the evolutionary game. It's very serious. And why God gave so many people so many chances to build and make it right. I haven't got any truth about my real family. I haven't got any birth documents. I've given my banking address for those that so desire to send me anything there. Again, God said that the doors and windows are all closed, and there's no mercy given to those that are at the highest level of the governments. They're not going to be given any mercy. There's been no making it right on my behalf of my birth story, and the 200 people that have been involved, paying money and millions of dollars to have me taken out and killed, and the family and the people that were involved to intentionally lie and to do what was done We're not going to do that anymore. We're learning through our lessons about the tools and the gifts and the skills that we have, and do we abuse it? Do we use it in honor? Do we use Gaia energy in honor? Are we going to use and harmonize organically with Source right now? We don't need any outside tools. You don't need to take anything from anyone to fully live your highest successful life. So we're going to go slow. We're going to build a beautiful garden and a beautiful foundation and beautiful soils. And we will move forward, and we will be the highest role models for all of the world leaders. Because there's no reason for any country right now to be in bombing. We've talked about it over and over and over again, and they will slowly move themselves out because we're now entering 5D gates, and if they're not operating by the universal laws, they will be moved out and they will be getting karma incrementally. The universal laws will not change for arrogance and ignorance and refusal to honor life and sacred life. We will be moving about this in a sacred way. So we want to go back to the crystalline energy. Not all species in their DNA have a crystalline code. Some of us come with higher crystalline code because we have more of our soul's, the fingers, those trickle down. We have more of our soul's family in angelics and in the masters. So we have a lot more crystalline energy that we get activated on because the sheaths that we sit within, the fields that we sit within, there's more crystal, these are the sheaths that I talk about, the vibrational sheaths. There's more of this that is crystalline. As you can see the little bright spots, right? The bright spots there, right? These bright spots on the dodecahedron corners. There's more of that that's crystalline. That's what that means by being crystalline. Once that corner gets activated, it lights up those other dodecahedron facets. That's why we always talk about the dodecahedron, because everybody is. So your crystalline energy lights up all of the facets on that dodecahedron. That's what's called your Christ consciousness, right? You have access to now put your consciousness into wherever those sheaths are, and then slowly, again, you get that trickle down effect. You get that more and more access. And so your Christ consciousness is how you thread a source creator. Your Christ conscious crystalline is, again, what species you come from. Not all species have crystalline access. That's why some species find it just flabbergasted, but it's still, they're still, if they go and move within good karma, they can still have, as Source showed me, they can have the activations of crystalline, right? They can have some of these crystalline activations in some of their DNA. Their DNA can be enhanced with crystalline codes. And they can have crystalline energy in their fields. They have to earn it. And everybody that's coming in with low crystalline energy, it's because they want to start being a part of Christ consciousness, crystalline light intelligence. It's how you advance, it's how you evolve for eternal life, so that you can be in the cosmos forever, right? I'm going to be a Pleiadian in whatever dimension I want, and I'm going to come teach whatever planet I want because I've earned my eternal life. I'm in my eternal life package right now. I'm so very happy. That's why I'm going to be, my body and my health is just going to keep getting better and better and better. I'm going to keep getting younger and younger and come at an age where I think is fine. And I'm going to keep working with my body and sculpting it myself and working with my teams and doing my consciousness work that way. That's how we're going to move into higher health, is using our consciousness, our crystalline consciousness. But again, we have to do research and we have to understand that our collective is not all at the same. Their species are different. If they're an Andromeda, if they're light Zeta, if they're a gray, if they're Cassiopean, all of these species have different crystalline access. Cassiopean has that crystalline access because Cassiopean has a lot of Pleiadian lineage. Lyrans are also Pleiadian lineages, but not all Lyran have crystalline DNA. This is very interesting. Draconian, unless it's a light draconian, which is a very small part of their species, a lot of draconians don't have access to crystalline energy. That's why they find it really hard to understand how I operate the way I operate. How I operate in the reality is very crystalline. It's just what I've always been. But I'm just also learning too that not everybody has crystalline energy. Not everybody can feel and sense and know and understand, and things that are just common sense to me are not common sense to those with no crystalline energy. It doesn't give them permission to act like a barbarian. I mean, basic common, right use of free will and do unto others is a common thing about, you have to get along with people on the planet. You can't just go knocking them out because they threaten you or because you keep wanting to run your trafficking ring. No, we're going to honor life here because we do want the species to come back and show us and teach us. And we want to have these interdimensional species moving without our planet. There's no other planet that operates the way we do. We're going to be such a dynamic planet within the galaxy. Let's celebrate that. But we're going to do it right. We're going to build bridges with everybody in the collective that are celestial in their differences and diversity, because it's going to build our bridges with the galactic federations. We're not going to ever let them down again. So we're going to make that promise today. In our organic harmonization with Source Creator, we're understanding that each person on the planet has a different DNA allocation. They have different access to Christ consciousness because of their species and history and lineage, and because of their crystalline access through their species and their lineage and their histories. So that means they're not going to understand or operate the same way. That's why we need each other and working together in these projects. Because there's some of us that have crystalline access that others need to understand and to expand their understanding and ground their understanding to higher Christ conscious, higher Source Creator. We're not going to let the galactic federations down again. And we're never ever going to do what we did to me to anybody else. The only reason why I survived is because of God. So we want to do it right this time. We're going to build great bridges, and we're going to build great health and healing systems with technology that will serve us and not harm us. We don't want AI to go crazy. We want it to be a balanced experience where AI can really be used as the higher consciousness tool that it can be. We want to take our time and do it right? So, dear lighted ones, I'm sorry, but my time is up. I had to cut it up today. So tomorrow we're going to go the full 2 hours. I hope that's going to work with everybody. Anybody that wants to send a donation, I would really love it. I'm still rebuilding, and I've got lots of tools that I need, and stationery, and of course, all of my bills that need to be paid, and all of the things that go along with being systematically abused for 50 years. I'm really grateful for everybody, especially my clients that have sent me their donations lately. I love you so much. I've been able to eat the last couple of weeks because of you. It's all because of you. So in this, I'm sending you beautiful love and blessings. And my weekend will be dedicated to those that send donations and assist me in that way through paypal.me/Joanna L. Ross. Collaborations and connections. If you want a healing session, a vocational alignment session, activation session, if you want to know more about your teams and your species, all of those things, just connect with me. Book a session. Right now, I'm just starting to figure out how I'm going to make these sessions possible, because again, my laptop got stolen, which is how I used to do my sessions. So I'm going to have to, and my phone is not working properly. So I'm going to have to figure out how we're going to do these sessions. I always do face-to-face because there's been people that have been copying my sessions. I never do blackout readings. So just to let you know that when I do book a session, it's face-to-face, usually FaceTime or Zoom, something like that. And then you get the recording of it so you can do your path work. So we're going to find out how I'm going to do that, but I need resources. I need resources to get all of my technology up to date. Can prepare for a war. What is that? Preparing for the New Jerusalem. Buy a book called Prepare for War by Rebecca Brown at Celeste. No, you're not going to promote your war books on my channel. Cluedo, can you block that person from my channel? No, we're not preparing for war. That's really low consciousness, and I would never put that on my channel. So again, be aware and be discerning. Those people that are coming out with any comments on my comment field about my videos, anybody that's coming in to sell sessions that are free and just anything like that, these are people that are not healed. They're not aligning with their higher selves, and they're just trying to get on the bandwagon. Again, we're going to do it right. We're going to do the slow game. We're going to do it connecting with our higher selves. Your higher self will guide you through anything. You don't need to do cheesy, very low class, karmic experiences. These are karmic. That's a karmic choice. What they're doing is a karmic choice. So just again, higher integrity. We want to enmesh with Source Creator. We want to choose higher vibrational, integrous, moralistic experiences. And we want to really back and support and lift the people that are deserving and worthy and ready to be paid for our services. We're really ready to be paid for our services. We're worthy of it. And I'm thanking everyone. PayPal.me/Joanna L. Ross. We thank you so much, and we'll be here, I think, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And we're probably gonna go the whole 2 hours through. So I hope to see you tomorrow morning. I love each and every one of you, and really do some notes and do some path work on our really exciting topics today about our crystalline DNA, about our research and development we're going to be doing about our DNA allocation and the crystalline Christ consciousness DNA, how that's going to affect our healing, how it's going to affect our socio-altruistic programs, how it's going to affect our learning and our light learning intelligence. But we're going to do it the right way this time, and we're never going to let our galactic federations down ever again. The Father shouldn't have come in and had to intervene the way the Father did. It's very sad. We have to pray, and we have to heal and forgive those that have done so much damage to Source and so much damage to me. Source doesn't feel that way. I mean, Source says it, but Source feels that way for me because it was just horrible. That people had to go to those lengths to have me never step up. And what work we have to do on our planet for, healing the misogyny and why the divine feminine masculine energies are so important for us to heal. We have to heal it. You're not going to advance in any way. Your money will be blocked, and Source has shown everybody. Source has shown everybody the karma. If your money is important, your money will be blocked. If your business is important, your business is going to be blocked. If your family is important, your family is going to be blocked. That's karma, and Source can do whatever Source can to make you sit down and, learn the lessons. It's not all about money, and it's not all about, taking and raping from everybody else so you get what you want. Everybody has to learn these lessons of unity consciousness, and there's no way around it. And so, dear lighted ones, we love you so very much. Love and light, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.